The show PBS Wild Travels is back with a new season premiering this week, and viewers can expect a showcase of eccentric places across the U.S., from Pierogi Fest to a unicycle football team. Let's take a look at one adventure from the show.
You breed them to be fainting goats.
Yes, we breed them and sell the babies for pets and for breeding stock to other farms in the area.
You'd think you'd want non-fainting goats. I got to tell you, one of the reasons I was hired for this job is that I actually can stay conscious for the whole interview.
And hopefully we can stay conscious for this interview. Joining us are HARVEY MOSHMAN, the executive producer of the show, and Will Klinger, the host of Wild Travels. Will, HARVEY, great to see both of you. First of all, Will, tell us about those goats. Why is this farm raising fainting goats?
Apparently there's a couple advantages to having a fainting goat. First of all, it's kind of fun to watch them faint. Second of all, they're easy to catch.
HARVEY, there's another episode where you go to a small town on opposite sides of the Mississippi River, I believe Iowa and Illinois, for a tug of war. Tell us about that tug of war.
Tug Fest has been going on for about 30 years, and like any odd sporting competition, it began in a bar with some boasts. And so what happens is that there are 10 teams of 10 on either side of the river, a 2,700-foot rope, that's a half a mile, that stretches across the Mississippi River, and this is the only event that they absolutely stop traffic on the Mississippi River for this one day every year. They stop all the barge traffic. And there's also a women's team, and Illinois has been the winner in most of the 30 years of the contest, but Iowa is always up for the fight.
How about that? Illinois has the bragging rights. All right, Will, up next, you went to San Marcos, Texas to see an unusual way to play football. Tell us about that.
Unicycle football, probably one of the stupidest sports ever practiced in the United States. The players are on unicycles. It's tackle, all right? A lot of broken bones, a lot of injuries. Not a clever thing to be doing, frankly. But these guys are way into it, and there is a lot of beer involved in it.
Wow, that seems like a totally combustible combination. HARVEY, how do you find these stories all across the country, these little vignettes?
Well, it used to be a lot harder to find these things, but the internet, if you spend the time and you've got nothing else better to do, you can find these kinds of stories on the internet. So with fainting goats, we were going to Mobile, Alabama for its Mardi Gras celebration, and we needed some additional sidebar stories and just kept looking for stuff, and I came across it. I can't remember how, but thought, fainting goats, okay, that's something we haven't done before.
I heard there's one episode about a pumpkin regatta. Can you explain what that is to me?
The Pacific giant vegetable growers, and these are pumpkins that weigh north of 1,600 pounds. The biggest one so far is a couple thousand, but they take these and they cut a hole in them and they make this sort of quasi kayak out of it, and they race them around this lake in Tualatin, Oregon. And it's a big costume event. There's money raised. It's quite a big deal, and everybody has a blast.
It looks like it, and those pumpkins float. How about that? Will Klinger, there's also a close to home here, a beard and mustache competition that you were a part of. Tell us about that.
Yeah, one of our most popular segments from our first two seasons was this World Beard and Mustache Championship we shot in Portland. So when we found out the Nationals were coming to Chicago, and that they wanted me to be a judge, even though the most I've ever grown was a pathetic goatee, we jumped at the chance. And this included also women in the competition, whiskerinas, as they call them. And they construct beards from bottle caps, from fishing lures, anything. One woman, which is a blast from the past, she could have been in the sideshow vaudeville circuit. She really had a beard. She had an actual beard, and I was like,
we're looking at her right now, I believe.
She said DNA and luck. She's happy to have this full beard, and God bless her. She was a great interview. Thanks to her, and thanks to all the women whiskerinas, for God's sake.
You know, you guys have been doing this show, starting with Wild Chicago, for many years. Will, what is the craziest thing, most surreal thing that you've ever seen in your travels?
Frozen dead guy days. There's a festival built around a guy that's been frozen under a ton of dry ice in a tough shed in the hills of Colorado. And he's been there for 25 years, and apparently he's thawed out a few times. but you know, it's a very, very cheap cryogenics, very cut rate cryogenics. And it's been the cause of this festival for the last 20 years or so. And they have coffin races and frozen t-shirt contests, but actually seeing the guy under the ice, we actually got to go into the Tough Shed. That was weird and wonderful.
We look forward to this series. Our thanks to Harvey Moshman and Will Klinger. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Paris.
Thank you.